lot. For a closer, 10? You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken, too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him. They're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right, it's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on SportsGrid Pro Football Today. Myself, Tom Vecchio, along with Joe Lisi. NFL Week 4 is underway. We have a game in progress right now between the Vikings and the Steelers. The Vikings are starting to drive down the field. They're playing from behind 24-6. Wentz getting the ball over to Addison. They're looking to pick up some yards and trying to close this gap. Joe, we have been through nearly everything on this slate. There's some games that we haven't specifically touched on, but one of the games I do want to touch on now that has some major storylines would be the 49ers with Brock Purdy returning or is expected to return. They're still dealing with plenty of injury concerns across the rest of their offense. George Kittle is still not there. There were some negative reports about Brandon Ayuk that he's not expected back as soon as they expected. Jennings is still dealing with things. CMC has been amazing. Ricky Pearsall has been amazing. But then, of course, they lost Nick Bosa to a season-ending ACL injury. So any thoughts on the 49ers taking on the Jags? And I will say the Jags have impressed me, especially their defense to start the season. How are you viewing this game? Because I am not expecting a whole lot of points.
No, you see, I am in this
really?
game. Yeah, I think this is one of my best bets for the day. We've seen 46.5s go down to 45.5. And again, I think the Jags offense on the road is going to push a little bit of tempo and force San Francisco into a higher scoring game. And that defense for Jacksonville has been very good. Once they get a lead, they've shown a propensity to really just shut down opposing offenses from a defensive perspective. But I like the progression right now of Trevor Lawrence under Liam Cohen. Again, and think about how much this offense is putting up points, right? And there's Brian Thomas has been inconsistent. I mean, he if he starts to catch on, and I think tonight is a perfect opportunity for Thomas to potentially break out with about a 61.5, 62 number. I think this offense could be lethal. They might be the team to beat in the AFC South. I know everybody looking at Daniel Jones in Indianapolis, rightfully so. They're undefeated, but I've been more impressed with the evolution of Trevor Lawrence. Again, I think they forced now with Brock Purdy coming back into a higher scoring game. Defensively, San Francisco has shut down a ton of offenses up until this point. But I think they can get into a shootout today. I like Jacksonville with the points, but I love the total 45.5.
All right. As the Vikings are breaking off a big play to Justin Jefferson, that's 20-ish yards or so. That puts him through a lot of numbers. That puts him up to what, Joe? 115 yards for Justin Jefferson. Listen, 9 catches, 115 yards is an absolutely fantastic performance from Jefferson. They are still being held to just 6 points to 2 field goals for them. So I'm not sure if this is a market you bet, but first player on a team to score, not first touchdown, not first,
Right.
whatever it is, but first player on a team to score. I know some people do bet those markets. So if anyone out there has bet on the Vikings, that, first player on the Vikings to score, you're still technically rooting that in at the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left. So just keep that in mind.
I would love to see Jefferson hit pay dirt. I have him for an anytime touchdown. Anybody that wants to step up for the Vikings right now, because prop bets are in right now a little bit of a problem and an issue. Again, this is a critical drive. 9 minutes left. They're within basically scoring distance. It's four-quarter territory. There's 9 minutes left. They score a touchdown, you're still going to have Carson Wentz throwing the football, and they're not going to wrap it up and get out of there. So, again, they're not going to – well, they might kick the field goal. I mean, to make it 15, you don't want to see that. Hey, there's Hawkinson. About time.
The
he
question
exists.
becomes is they score a touchdown. Do they go for 2 to make it 24-14? Because you're still going to need multiple scores.
Yeah, you are. But again, 24-14, they probably wouldn't. They probably keep it at 11, I think, on this drive.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see. You got a quarterback that's struggling right now. He's getting sacked. Your defense, can they give you a stop within the next 8 minutes? You got to score within the next minute and a half. You got there. You go. Get Hawkinson.
See, and this is what's concerning is even if they score here, they still need 2 more drives.
Right. Is that a flag on the play? No. I thought I saw a flag.
And I will be interested to see if anything changes for the Vikings in terms of a play calling perspective next week against the Browns. Because right now, Jordan Mason is 14-52. That's 3.7 yards per carry. They're now going up against the league's best rush defense next week against the Browns when they play over in London. We're going to have to see Wentz throw the ball even more next week, and I'm not sure if that's something that they're going to be fully comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you look at the play call. Again, there's 8 minutes left. They're down by 3 scores. The play action, with an aging quarterback, I just don't understand some of the play calls. So, that does Jordan Mason and the running backs have a huge part depending upon – we'll see, because if Cleveland gets ripped on the ground today by Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, and all of a sudden you're second-guessing that front seven, it's possible. But right now, if things hold par and Cleveland has another defensive performance that is statistically what's been the first 3 weeks, it's going to be all on the passing attack. And, again, they have to distribute the football. Does Addison get more involved? He's been a non-factor today, Tom.
It's true. And I will say that Wentz is already up to – what is this, 34 attempts? 34 passing attempts?
Jefferson!
No, I don't know if caught that in the back of the end zone. But
this kid Scott! Unbelievable.
Was it Xavier Scott? If he got his feet in, that would be a touchdown for the Vikings. But this puts him up to 35 passing attempts for Carson Wentz, which is a very high number. That's something he could have to replicate next week against the Browns again when they are playing over in England. And we have to see if he got his feet down when he had the ball.
Catch.
That is a nice catch by Xavier Scott in the back of the end zone. So this will make it 24-12, and it comes down to whether or not they go for 1 or 2. So Wentz right now, 25 of 35, 233 through the air, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He does have 6 sacks, which is certainly worth noting.
I mean, that's 11 sacks for Pittsburgh in back-to-back weeks. I mean,
it's a lot.
Big picture, if you're looking like that against Baltimore and Lamar when they do face up, this front seven's starting to get after it. It's something to keep an eye out on.
And they did that last week versus Drake May. They caused turnovers, especially in the red zone. So they are going for 2, the Vikings here, as we do a little bit of in-game live on Pro Football today, going for the 2 to try and make this a 10-point game. And catch that. It is 24-14 for this game. And that live total has jumped back up to, see if we get the live total, jumped back up to 41.5. And it did crash down to about 36.5, I think I said it was, at one point at halftime. So it is certainly trending towards more points. The Steelers are still favored by 9.5 points. They are favored by 9.5. It is minus 192, laying the juice at minus 9.5. That I would personally not take. I think there would be a better way to go about it. You could look to an alt spread and say they go down and they score a field goal, they score a touchdown. Therefore, you're covering the 9.5, or simply just play the Vikings on the other side, thinking that they get a stop against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, and then therefore come back and score on the other side. I would not lay the 9.5 at minus 192.
No, I think right now it's going to be critical. How does Brian Flores play this? You want to bleed clock if you're Aaron Rodgers. right now your defense is forcing Carson Wentz to work down the field. This 41.5 is intriguing because we know that Minnesota's going in with the mindset to at least cut it to a one-score game, right? 41.5 leads you to believe we're not going to get any scoring right now. I mean, it's unbelievable when you just think about it. Can you get a stop? Can you force Aaron Rodgers into a long third down, get a short field? And even then, if they kick the field goal, you're under. But, I mean, I would take the over, 41.5, Tom. I just think the way he had success on that drive, he got it to Hawkinson. They're going to try and score the touchdown before the field goal. Field goal's the last-ditch effort. Yeah. If it's like 4th and 8, they'll kick the field goal. And then, I mean, but still, you're still live here with an onside kick. Even if you do kick the field goal, 41.5 seems like it's juiced to the over minus 132. But I still see another touchdown in this game.
Yeah. 7 minutes and 50 seconds is a lot. The Vikings do have all 3 timeouts. The Steelers have 2 timeouts, so that's obviously important to note when you're looking at these lines. But, yeah, a field goal just between one of them would hold the game under, but I'm not expecting that to happen as we've seen the defenses open up just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 9.5 is intriguing because, again, you have the field goal under your belt. I mean, right now I might be inclined to take the 9.5.
We have Adam Kaplan coming up next. Stay tuned right here, Pro Football Today.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so. Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
We're back right here, Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio alongside Joe Lisi. And now let's welcome on the great Adam Kaplan to break things down across NFL Week 4. We had a game on Thursday night. We have a game in action today. We have games all today. We have 2 games tomorrow. Adam, welcome to the show. And I say we hop right into things with a big matchup between the Commanders and the Falcons. Falcons coming off a bad loss. The Commanders, we know, will not have Daniels out there. It's going to be Marcus Mariota. Lot to break down in this game.
Yeah, Tom, it's interesting. So if you look at the line, right, the Falcons are a short favorite, about -2. My personal line, we'll get into the injury factor, which is major for this game, would have been 4.5 or 5 points. The Falcons are at home. the Commanders, Tom, have significant injury issues. They're mainly on offense, but no Daniels, the quarterback. Terry McLaurin, their top pass circuit, their top receiver. And something, Tom, I learned when I was at the training camp in late August, and McLaurin was not practicing then. It was about a couple days before he signed his extension. They were really light on depth at receiver. Now, you don't have Noah Brown, who's their third receiver. You take McLaurin out. Jalen Lane, who, by the way, today from Virginia Tech, he's their fourth rounder. He's going to play a lot today. He'll probably be their slot receiver, and they'll probably play Deebo Samuel more inside than outside. Now, Lynn, I'm told they've cross-trained him a little bit on the outside, but he's better inside. But this hurts them. There's no question about it. They're wide tight end. They're blocking tight end. John Bates, one of the best in the National Football League, missed another game. They benched Brandon Coleman, who started the season as one of their starting guards. So, Tom, if you sum it all up, pushing forward, taking it back to you, the Commanders had a lot of concerns today, and of course, chief among them is who's going to be at quarterback. It's going to be Marcus Mariota, a former Falcon.
Cap, I want to keep it on that game for a second and just big picture. Raheem Morris in Atlanta, disappointing loss last week. They get blown out by Carolina. I mean, they outgained Carolina. Just a pitiful performance. If they lose this game today and Raheem Morris is 1-3 overall, is he going to be on the hot seat now or not really?
Too early, man. I mean, we're talking about 1-3. Raheem Morris is a guy that the organization has known for many years. And when you really look at it, Morris, now you talked, Joe, about their offense. They put up 0 points. They removed Ike Hilliard, the receivers coach, TJ Yates, who actually coached receivers earlier in his career. He's now coaching the receivers. So they've addressed that issue that they're having. But their problem has been Michael Penix has not played quite to the level they expected, but it is so early. It is so early. First of all, and we'll get to the Eagles game in a minute. The Bucs have some injury problems. The Bucs are 3-0. The Falcons are 1-2. I get it. They should be better. But no, we're a ways away from theoretically any kind of problem here. But Joe, you're right to bring it up. They have high expectations. Their front office is spent not only just a lot of money, but a lot of draft capital in their offense, so they haven't got the dividends yet.
Yeah, that offense is loaded with talent surrounding Penix. You like to see them put all the pieces together. I'd also like to see Penix throw the ball a little bit deeper. That's just my personal opinion. See them get things moving. But as you alluded to, the Bucs, they are 3-0. They're taking on another 3-0 team. In one of the games of the week, we have 3 of them this week between the Ravens and the Chiefs, the Packers and the Cowboys on Sunday night. But this game, the Eagles and the Bucs, there are storylines all over the place in this one. Mike Evans is out. Wirfs is expected back. Chris Godwin is expected back. Baker, of course, will be playing. What are we going to be getting from the offense on the Bucs? And then the Eagles finally explode on offense after they were down last week at halftime. The passing game looked phenomenal in the second half. A lot to break down for this one, Adam. What do you think?
Yeah, Tom, I wish we had an hour, but let's give you the Cliff Notes version. Let's go to Tampa Bay. So with Mike Evans out, this completely changes their passing game. Emeka Egbuka, I expect to play that X position. I expect him. He's physical. He's not fast. He's not as tall as Evans, who's 6'4". And Evans has scored in 4 out of his 5 games in his career against the Eagles. But the bottom line is they're not going to have him. They're going to get worse back, as you mentioned. Their right side has been replaced due to injury. That's a problem on their offensive line that does concern me a little bit. But not having Evans is problematic. Now, one area, though, that they're going to have a benefit is Adoree Jackson is not expected to play. In fact, he's inactive today with the groin injury. So they're going to use Keely Ringo, who was a 4th rounder 3 years ago, guys. For the last 2 years, Ringo, out of Georgia, who was a 4th rounder, he's competed for a starting job. He lost to Isaiah Rodgers now with Minnesota, and he lost to the aforementioned Jackson. So this is an advantage that Josh Grizzard, the young offensive coordinator, Tom, for the Bucs, he's got to take advantage of it. Go after Ringo, who's got great length and athleticism, but he's got stiff hips. He has problems turning. And I expect the Eagles to go after him a little bit. And that's where Egbuka, you mentioned Chris Godwin, who should play mostly in the slot. But, Tom, the issue with Godwin is not that he's going to play. He's going to play. But he hasn't played since October 22nd last season. So in that heat in Tampa, you got to be concerned. They can't play him like 100% of the snaps. I highly doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's got to shake off some ring rust. Could take a couple of games before that potentially plays out. What are you hearing regarding the New York Giants, Jackson Dart, the optimism? Obviously, Brian Dable on the hot seat along with Joe Shine. But where are we with the optimism and the upside for Jackson Dart heading into this week?
You know, Joe, it's interesting. Dart really came on the final 2.5 weeks of training camp where people were like, wait a minute, you already committed. You already said on the record that Russell Wilson, no matter what's going to be your starter. But they saw, because of the way Wilson played last week in week 1, he sandwiched one really good game against the Cowboys. But the bottom line is, Joe, it's Dart's future now. They're not looking back. They're not going to pull him. This is a tough matchup, guys. Really tough matchup. I know the Chargers have some injuries, but what Dart does, Joe, is he's got athleticism. He's got an arm. He's got good enough size. But this is his first playing time in the National Football League as a starter. This Jesse Minter defense, the Chargers defense coordinator, he changes the picture. Pre-snap, they run a 34 front. Post-snap, a lot of disguise. It's going to be hard for Dart. I understand why the line is what it is. The Chargers are a huge favorite because this is not the type of game you'd want to face, although they're at home. But you got to hang in there, Giant fans, with Dart. He's going to be a good player, but it's going to take some time.
In between Dart and Scatterbo, they certainly have some rookies that they're looking to build on. Any quick thoughts about Sunday Night Football, Micah Parsons and the Packers returning to Dallas?
Yeah, this is big. And, the Cowboys defense, guys, has been horrific. The Cowboys, it's funny. They make a big deal about getting Kenny Clark against the run. Hasn't happened. The pass rush hasn't gotten there. See, what Jerry Jones should have gotten is a edge rusher back. He should have asked for Rashawn Gary. He didn't. He wanted Kenny Clark, an aging but good defensive tackle, and it hasn't worked out so far. We're early here. I expect the Packers to bounce back after last week's game. No, I expect them to bounce back in a big way, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely. Packers looking to come away with the win after a very slow game against the Browns. That is Adam Kaplan. Great info from across the league. Great games to break down. I do wish we had an hour for that Eagles-Bucks game because there's so much going on between that. The Chiefs-Ravens, one of those teams are going to be 1-3 when it's all said and done. Thank you to Adam for stopping by. We have plenty more to get to as we wrap up the final hour right here on Pro Football Today.
Got it.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on Pro Football Today, breaking more games down across the league. We now welcome on Dr. David Chow. There is so many injuries. I feel the first few weeks of the season were actually pretty clean, and then all of a sudden these injuries explode. And one of the games that is riddled with injuries comes down to the Eagles and the Bucs. The Bucs offensive line has been dealing with injuries left, right, and center, no pun intended, but they are expected to get Tristan Wirfs back today. What are you looking at in this game?
Absolutely. It's the offensive line issues for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like last week on SportsGrid, we said take Bucky Irving under He got 25 carries and was still under because of the offensive line. Are they a little bit healthier this week because Tristan Wirfs returns? Yes, but Tristan Wirfs is not 100%. Neither is Chris Godwin. And I might make the argument that the Eagles' front seven, even without Nolan Smith, is better than the Jets, especially with their injuries. And so it may be tough sledding again. On our player edge, Bucky Irving is an under again by 34.6% less than normal projections, under 63 yards.
Cap, we'll take our attention to the late game tonight, Green Bay and Dallas. Dallas, obviously, without C.D. Lamb and multiple offensive linemen. Just talk to me about, where they are heading into week number 4 and when we can expect them to get healthier.
Well, it's both Green Bay and Dallas with 2 offensive linemen out. Green Bay, Tom and Banks, and 2 offensive linemen for the Cowboys. Their top wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, is out. So is Jaden Reed, arguably their top wide receiver. So it's going to be an interesting match here. With the offensive lineman out, that always leans towards an under game. Overall, Green Bay is a little bit healthier than Dallas. Dallas has other defensive issues. Remember, Overshawn, their best linebacker, best defensive player, is still out. Forget the Micah Parsons trade and Kenny Clark and all that stuff.
Now, as we turn to Monday night, we have 2 games. First game, dealing with the Jets, and Justin Fields is expected to play. But that second game between the Broncos and the Bengals seemingly are injured every single season, but the discrepancy between them and the Broncos, just the overall health discrepancy, I think heavily favors Denver in this spot.
Yeah, it's a big line, but Denver is definitely the healthier side on both sides of the ball, on the offense and defense, against Cincinnati's offense and defense. Everyone focuses on Joey Burrow and his turf toe and how he's on IR and out. But the bigger deal really has been the interior of their offensive line. Left guard and right guard have been out for most of the season, and that's what leads to Chase Brown's struggles. He indexes on our player edge under 22.8% from his typical projected production, so under 53.5 yards. And Denver is definitely the healthier side. And you mentioned the Jets and Justin Fields. We thought all week that he would play, all week that Brock Purdy would play. All week we thought no Jaden Daniels this week, but yes, Jaden Daniels next week.
Cap, Xavier Worthy is potentially going to play today in Kansas City, but how effective could he be with that shoulder, and what could they do to get him back on track?
Xavier Worthy, I think, can be effective as a wide receiver with the shoulder, with the harness. Remember, he's a downfield threat, and he's going to get open with his legs, and he will be able to catch the ball. It's the run game blocking side that is the question mark on Xavier Worthy that might limit his snaps. But the big injury there is really on Baltimore, on their D-line. They run a 3-4, and 2.5 of their 3 starters are out. I say half because one's playing but injured. Matabuke IR. They've got D-line problems. You saw what Detroit did to the Baltimore Ravens. I get it. Detroit's O-line and their running game is superior to Kansas City. But if Pacheco and Hunt can get 4+ yards a carry and make it manageable downs and distance and balance for Patrick Mahomes, that might spell trouble. Matabuke's key for them.
You briefly mentioned Daniels there. They expect him to play next week, but this week things do not look great for the Commanders between Terry. There's a whole lot going on. And, frankly, when it's all said and done, the Falcons, their skill position players are healthy. I know they haven't been playing well, but this seems like a clear advantage for the Falcons on offense.
Yeah, there's no question that from a health perspective, the question is, how is Penix doing? Is Cousins going to come in? Yes, their wide receivers are playing and healthy, and Bijan's there. But I think if I have my stats right, his only touchdown all year has been Bijan Johnson, a check down for 50 yards. No wide receiver touchdowns. The Falcons have some injury issues themselves with A.J. Terrell, their number 1 corner. Of course, Terry McLaurin's out for Washington. We have this as kind of a wash game. We don't have a strong stance based purely on injuries.
That is Dr. David Chow of SIC Score. Right now, users and viewers can go there for SIC picks, get a $50 value, use code SportsGrid. Dr. David Chow, thank you for stopping by. Plenty of great information.
Thank you.
That's Dr. David Chow, SIC score member. Check them out for all your injury needs. We'll be back right here, Pro Football Today.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him. They're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We're back right here on SportsGrid Pro Football Today. Thanks to Dr. David Chow and Adam Kaplan stepping by over the past 2 segments, giving us some insight across the league. Now, let's just whip around the league and touch on all the games, what we have, what we haven't discussed. Let's just get to Eagles-Bucks. If we could bring up that game board, pretty straightforward. Joe and I both agree that the Eagles will come away with the cover. They'll come away with the win and the cover in this game. The injury discrepancy, as we just spoke about, is pretty heavily in favor of the Eagles. I like the skill position players from the Eagles. I will say there's no one prop in this game that I love. I will side with Joe when it comes to Devonta Smith being the one to target. And I will say I don't mind going to Sterling Shepard in this game. I think he's going to play a big role. The Eagles defense will look to take away Emeka Egbuka. We're not sure what we're going to get from Chris Godwin. But if you give me a Sterling Shepard number and he's sitting at 30.5, I think he gets over it.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is I'm going back and forth on the total, 44.5, because this game should blow right through that. Even without, Mike Evans in the lineup, Baker's putting up points, and the series over the past couple of years has trended that way. Certainly trended that way last year. Yeah. I like Devonta Smith. I like Saquon in the receiving game. They've shown that they've been going to Saquon a little bit more in the receiving game. They flank him out wide. They try to get a mismatch on linebackers and nickelbacks, and I think they do that too. If you can't run the football or you have an above-average rush defense, you want to get your playmakers out in space, and I think it's a way to look for Saquon today.
Next up, Saints and Bills. It's a tough game from props just because the line is so big at 15.5, 14.5, whatever it might be, 48.5 total. The Bills probably score. Frankly, if you were betting on some of the overs on their props, you think they can get that done in 2 or 3 quarters when it's all said and done. Again, I like Keon Coleman under 3.5 receptions.
I like the Bills. Again, I'm going to lay the wood. If I had to bet the game, I would lay it with Buffalo. They have a 13-game home winning streak by 15.3 points per game. It's all Josh Allen in the passing attack. I think, you limit maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns all in the first half, and I would go to the wide receivers as well. I mean, again, I think Kincaid has been an option for that offense. as well. He's hit pay dirt, so that's the way I would look. It's not a game I'm diving wholeheartedly into just because of the fear of the second half pulling starters, but it's Buffalo or bust for me.
Right. I also don't mind Chris Olave over 5.5 receptions in that game. He has been a dominant option in their offense just because they're going to have to pass the ball. A game we literally haven't talked about is the Titans taking on the Texans, the game, a.k.a. someone has to win this game bowl. A dreadful start for the Texans on offense. Their offensive line is terrible. C.J. Stroud has not developed. I have no action in this game whatsoever.
No, me neither. It would be Houston or bust just because they need the game. They've reverted back to just a conservative offense. They can't get the football to Nico Collins. That maybe one drive, but they never get back to him in the third or fourth quarters. That was obviously evident in the loss last week to Tampa Bay. But, you know, their backs are against the wall. They need a victory, and I buy more into Houston at home with that defense going up against the rookie quarterback than I do to, Callahan. Callahan could be dead man walking as well. Could be fired maybe mid-season.
Right. I don't mind Nick Chubb over 47 or 48.5 rushing yards, depending on where you can get it. The Titans have been terrible against the run. We saw, big performances from Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, Harvey, and Dobbins in week 1 when they were at Denver. I don't mind a little Nick Chubb exposure there. Next up, Chargers-Giants, a game that we spoke very heavily about. As already mentioned, Omari Hampton over 16.5 rushing attempts for the Chargers. He should be the dominant option in that offense. No one should challenge him for carries. And then Malik Neighbors to catch a pass on the first drive. Not the first player to catch a pass on the Giants, to catch a pass on the first drive at -105.
From this way, I might be crazy enough to take the 6.5 with the Giants. Just think that, Dart can give them a shot on the arm. It's a West Coast team coming to an East Coast site here, 1 o'clock kick. But I think we can get over this total. 43.5, and I know the Chargers defense is good, but I think Neighbors could expose them. I think Dart will push a little bit of tempo. When you have him in there, you're going to get the good, the bad, and the ugly, which could lead to turnovers. I like the total more than anything else.
Absolutely. Giants fans, you have to live through it for a little while, but Dart is the right answer moving forward. Next up, the Commanders taking on the Falcons. As we mentioned, Jane Daniels is not playing. Terry McLaurin is not playing. The Falcons are coming off of a disaster loss last week when, as we alluded to, they outgained the Panthers but still lost 30-0. This has to be a win for the Falcons. That's what it comes down to. It has to be a win. You're fully healthy on offense. Kyle Pitts is looking better this year. Bijan Robinson is looking good. Drake London is solid. Darnell Mooney. You have the options on offense. Get it done. I don't love any props in this game. And the running back usage for the Commanders has been all over the place. I don't love it.
Yeah, I took Chris Rodriguez, believe it or not. 40 rushing yards plus alt. Again, I think on the road for Washington, even though Mariota stepped up against Las Vegas, he's now on the road. They're going to need a little bit more of the rushing attack. And again, if we're looking at Atlanta, I like Kyle Pitts over Drake London, 38.5, 39. Again, he's got to be more involved. And Bijan in the receiving game. Again, he's like Saquon. When you have that type of home run hitter and you get him in the passing attack, he can create mismatch problems. So I like Bijan over his number. I mean, it could be one reception like it did week number 1.
It's true. He also got there, I think, in 1, maybe 2 receptions when they were at Minnesota on that Sunday night game. Brady Cannon and I broke that game down. I was high on Bijan going into that. Finally, at least for this segment, Panthers at the Pats. We haven't really talked about this game too much. I mentioned that I like Chuba Hubbard under 55.5. Rushing yards, the Pats defense has been sneaky good against the run, at least this season. They held Genti in check week 1. They held Devon Achane in week 2 in check, and then last week they held Warren in check from the Steelers. If I was forced to pick, I think I would take the Pats, but I don't love this game either way.
I don't love the game either. I do like Carolina. Again, I'm just hoping on consistency.
Yeah.
They got the victory, over Atlanta last week. That was a dominating win. Can they continue that on the road against a team that had turnover problems in New England? Does it continue again? Right now, I still don't like New England's playmakers, but again, I think Carolina needs to evolve with Bryce Young. You have to develop the guy and open up the offense.
You really do. The Carolina situation is tough. Again, I'm a big believer in Ted McMillan, but if Bryce Young isn't developing, that is a major issue. We have plenty more games to whip around. We should give an update on the Steelers.
It's incredible. I'm watching this game play out. I have props. I'm like, did they just take the delay a game on a 4th and 1?
The Vikings were down, 18 points they were down? and then they have a touchdown. They go for 2. They score. Then they score another touchdown. Pittsburgh went for it on 4th. There was a massive long play to Addison. I do have a touchdown prop on Addison. The fact they got stopped at the 2-yard line. They end up punching it in. Then the Steelers now have to punt. The Vikings just got the ball back on the 19-yard line, and Wentz is slinging the ball.
Oh, he just
threw an interception.
Unbelievable.
He just threw an interception. All this hope coming in for the Steelers, for the Vikings.
Unreal.
Getting the ball back with a minute to play, driving down the field, and he just throws an interception.
Unreal.
So it is 24-21. The Steelers are in need-out territory. The Vikings, I don't think they have any timeouts left. They have no timeouts left. So Wentz is going to end the day 28-40, 327 through the air. Remember, his live prop at one time was 230. He was up in the 270s, 280s. 2 TDs, 3 interceptions, 6 sacks. Rodgers, 18 of 22, 200 yards, 1 TD. Kenny Gainwell, who got the start, 19 carries, 99 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He also had 6 catches for 35 yards, stepping in because Warren was ruled out earlier in the game. DK Metcalf, 5 catches, 126 in the touchdown. On the other side, Justin Jefferson, 10 catches, 126. Addison added in 114 yards of his own after that long 81-yard reception, which set up their most recent touchdown. But, man, things changed quickly. And I should say that passing touchdown, the second one for the Vikings, went to Jalen Naylor, his only catch of the game, 1 catch for 2 yards. So things were looking up for the Vikings, and all of a sudden they changed in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's amazing. Wentz 300-yard performance they were seeing if he had possession on the interception. I mean, he doesn't have control. That's what's I'm curious to see how they view this in the replay booth because he bobbled it. And when he gains control, does he have 2 feet and down is going to be the question. So I don't know. This might get overturned. Okay. We'll see. Overturned.
Okay.
So there you go. There's life, baby. There's life.
There is life for the Vikings. So
beautiful.
Interception. No longer an interception. Vikings still have the ball. So they have 58 seconds, no timeouts, and are looking to drive down the field. We're coming up against the break right now. We have 2 final segments to get to. Wrap things up on this. We will continue to whip around the league on these last few games. Stay tuned right here. Pro Football Today will be back.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like it's to the point where like Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so. Right. Yeah, it's like guys, like he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
To put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump, and you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here, Pro Football Today. 2 segments left. We have chaos unfolding between the Steelers and the Vikings. We thought it was an interception for Carson Wentz. It is not an interception. The Pittsburgh DB did not have possession and feet down. They've overturned things. The Vikings are approaching the 50-yard line. They are down 24-21. There's 43 seconds left. They are pushing the ball, looking to either tie this game up or come away with a win. This puts props into the balance. This puts the total into the balance, and Wentz is dragged down. And I don't know if that's intentional grounding or whatnot, but we have to continue this whip around between the Colts and the Rams. I think the Rams win. I think they cover. They're coming off a very tough loss. I think they bounce back in a big way. I am not sold on the Colts thus far. 2 of their wins do not impress me. Beating the Dolphins doesn't matter. Beating the Titans doesn't matter. Coming away with the last-second victory after a penalty on a field goal is absolute luck. So I'm not sold on the I'm not sold on the Colts. I think the Rams come away and they cover this number. They win convincingly.
Yeah, I would lay it with the Rams. I don't love it. I will say it's got to be a Jonathan Taylor game on the road here, especially. And I understand that the front seven of L.A. shut down Saquon for the most part in last week's matchup. But you're going on the road. Daniel Jones has performed great, but this has got to be a Jonathan Taylor game. I like him over his total today. I still like the over 49.5 because I think the Rams will push tempo. They'll come out mad based off of what happened last week and maybe just look to put a 40 spot up on this Colts defense that potentially at times could be suspect.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the Jaguars visiting the 49ers. Brock Purdy is expected to play for the 49ers, certainly getting a little healthier there. I think the 49ers win. I think we see Ricky Pearsall have a big game. I like him over 23.5 for his longest reception.
Yeah, I like the look. I also like Hawkinson getting through his number. This is one of my better picks for the day. It might even be a best bet. We'll see at the end of the show. But I like the Jags plus the points. But with the emergence of Purdy coming back and the playmakers that we've seen on both sides of the football, I think we get points here. I just think both passing attacks can open up. I'm not sold on last week's performance against an inept Houston offense. I think that was more, they played to the under more for Houston being one-dimensional than it was. You know, I think if you would have pushed Jacksonville a little bit more, you would have seen this game into the 40s. They had some missed opportunities. I do like Jacksonville with the points, but my favorite play in this game is the over.
All right. Move on to Ravens-Chiefs, the game that we opened up the show with. We talked plenty about that. We know it's a 2.5-point spread. Looking at the total, sitting was at still 48.5. I think the Ravens win, but they don't cover. It's like a super specific outcome, 24, 23, 28, 27, somewhere around there. And we talked about it. You know, the Henry over 4.5 receiving yards prop speaks to me more and more. Again, I think he makes amends for the first few weeks of the issues he's had.
He might even get a receiving touchdown. Yeah, you know, especially if they're inside the 25-yard line, to utilize them in like a screen type of situation. Get Derrick Henry out in space. It is an intriguing matchup. I told you I lean to the under 48.5 because I think we'd be shocked if Kansas City gets into a high-scoring game, and they help out as well. Are we going to expect Kansas City to put up more than 20 points in this game?
24 at the most.
That's why I think we get the under. I think if Kansas City wins, it's like 24-20, much the way it was in the championship game. I'll take a shot. Again, I think I like Bateman. I was on him for the Thursday night performance. I think he steps up. I like him for an anytime touchdown, but I do like Henry with the receiving yards today.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the Bears taking on the Raiders, close 1.5-point spread. This really should be a spot that we do see passing on both sides. The defenses, the secondaries are not an issue. You know, the Bears didn't get exposed a whole lot. Last week, CeeDee Lamb got hurt. They were on pace for a super high-scoring game, but ultimately the Bears' secondary is not good. I don't think the Raiders' secondary is good overall. I think we could be in big games for Bowers, Jacoby Myers, look to Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, anyone across the board. I think we get some points. I'll take the points with the Bears, but I think scoring will be paramount on both sides.
I agree, but I'm going to take a shot. I really like the Raiders as a favorite here, even if you get them close to 1.5. I don't mind. I think Pete Carroll has the coaching advantage, and I'm worried about this team in Chicago on the road. They didn't step up against Detroit, and I understand that's Detroit. But going to Las Vegas, I'll take a shot. I like Jacoby Myers, anytime touchdown.
All right. And then finally, Packers taking on the Cowboys on Sunday night. We'll have more to say about this in the next segment as we close things out with our best bets. When we try to sell you something with that segment. But I think this is a Packer spot. I think this is a Packer spot time and time again. And, maybe I wouldn't be having this view if things went differently last week. But I think it's Packers early and Packers often.
I'm on the other side. I think it's an outright win somehow, some way. You could not a bounty bowl like they had back in the day, but I think Jerry is. I told you, he's going into the locker room. They beat your ass in the playoffs. They knocked you around. Micah's talking stuff. It's personal. I think Dak Prescott, as long as he's healthy, can score. I think they exposed Green Bay's defense. I don't know about the total, but I'm going to take the 6.5, and I think Dallas is live. Coming off that disappointing road loss, Jerry's handing out bonuses to anybody that wins tonight in Big D.
All right, which is certainly not a bad look and something Jerry would certainly do. So we did just wrap up with the Vikings and the Steelers, an incomplete pass, and then the Steelers just need it out. So that need it out. So the Vikings lose that game 24-21. That game ends with 45 total points. The Vikings were road favorites, right? What was it, 1.5, 2.5 points, whatever for the Vikings?
Yeah, 2.5.
So Steelers win outright on that. We get Sunday started on an exciting note, and it certainly wasn't looking like that when the Vikings were down by 18 points in the fourth quarter. But some big performances from Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison in his first game back. Again, Kenny Gainwell getting a start for the Steelers. He stepped up in a big way with multiple touchdowns. DK Metcalf had a long receiving touchdown. So good stuff across the board. And again, reminder, the Vikings are staying in Europe. They're going from Dublin, or I should say the UK technically, but they're going from Dublin to England to play there. I think they're in England. It's not a Germany game, wherever they're playing next week, whatever it might be. They're staying there. They're playing the Browns next week. The Browns playing at 1 p.m. today. So what the Vikings do and the health of J.J. McCarthy, will he be able to play next week? We're not sure of that. It should be Carson Wentz. He should continue to sling the ball. And, man, continue to look to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison now that he's back, and T.J. Hawkinson as the main core of that passing offense. They could be in for a big week next week if Jordan Mason is not able to run against a stout Browns run defense.
Yeah, that's going to be the matchup. We saw, the rush offense be inconsistent today against an emerging Pittsburgh front seven that's put to back-to-back performances against New England, and today against the Vikings offense. They're looking good. We'll see what Cleveland does, but if they hold up, it's going to be very difficult for the Vikings. They'll be in long third down situations. Wentz might get battered next week.
Yeah, absolutely. They are, in fact, in London next week, the Browns. So going from Dublin to London. We're coming up against a break right now. Stay tuned right here on Sports Grid. More pro football today with plenty to break down.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
To put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We're back. Pro Football Today right here on SportsGrid. Tom Vecchio alongside Joe Lisi. It is the final segment. 3 hours have come to a close. NFL Week 4. We're about to wrap things up, and it's time for me to sell you something alongside Joe. I'll start off with mine. It's a little bit more reasonable, I think, is the way to say it. You did say you like the Cowboys, but I said I like the Packers. And it's not just the Packers minus 6.5. It's the Packers minus 9.5. If they win this game, they're not going to win this game, 23-20. If they win this game, I think they win convincingly. They win this game 30-20, 35-21, whatever it might be. They are going to handle business against the Cowboys. This defense for the Cowboys is atrocious. They are down on offense. The Cowboys it is their best player with CeeDee Lamb. Packers come in, take care of business early and often. They win convincingly.
Yeah, if the Packers win, they're not going to win by 6 or 3. I think that's going to be a pretty good look if they pull it out. I think when you just look at it, they're going to need Josh Jacobs to make a statement tonight. We'll see if they can run the football on the road. And Jordan Love had great success a couple of years ago in ripping that defense. So it's a pretty good look. I hope you get it. For me, we go big or go home now. Based off the performance in the Magnolia Bowl last night with Garrett Nussmeier and the LSU Tigers, he wishes Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors were in that lineup like Jaden Daniels had just a couple of years ago. But for both players to get 100 yards and 1 touchdown today, put it up there, Sammy boy, plus 34.25. And I understand right now Brian Thomas has butterfingers. I get that. He can't catch a football, but going on the road to San Francisco, I think it's a pretty good spot. 61.5 is his total. You're only asking for 1 chunk play over that. Can Jackson Dart get the football to Malik Neighbors? He better. Giants, I think, can move the football on L.A. 34.25 for $100. Why not?
I mean, that is a big, big number. But now the last segment, which – I am stepping in for Kevin Walsh. So the best bet, we weren't on the same page of coordinating things. What are the segments going to look like? What are we going to do here and there? The best bet, it comes down to one game. And matter of factly, we are on literal opposite sides for this game. So it is the 49ers and the Jags. I am on under 46.5, minus 110 for my best bet. And Joe, you are on over 46.5. And I will say, now, part of the reason that I like it, right now, the Jags, they come in sitting at 14th in the league when it comes to explosive offensive plays. They are not moving the ball frequently and consistently downfield. And we've seen, again, varied levels of production from Brian Thomas, the rookie Travis Hunter. The running back room, I think, is good, but we just haven't seen a whole lot from it. And getting Purdy back, I don't think they want to turn this into a shootout. And I think we're going to see players on the 49ers step up and bring a real effort, knowing that Nick Bosa is now done for the season. And if there's a quarterback they can get after, I believe it is Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. And this is not said the Jags defense has been much, much better than I anticipated. And again, maybe Purdy comes out after a couple weeks. They got to get back in the rhythm of things. I think the 49ers win. I just don't think it's super high scoring.
Yeah, I have a different approach. The good news is one of us is going to be right. 50-50. You look at the defense, and to your point, Jacksonville has stepped up from the defensive perspective. How much of that was, Houston being one-dimensional outside of Nico Collins, and how much is that, playing week 1 against Carolina, where basically they had an hour-and-a-half rain delay and lightning delay and really changed the complexity of that matchup, where they didn't have to do much from a defensive perspective. They just got out of there. But I like Trevor Lawrence in the passing attack today. And, again, I think this is the best weapons that the defense has faced up until this point. With Brock Purdy coming back, I do feel they try to get him into a rhythm. And, again, it all depends if Jacksonville could score first and really put the pressure on Purdy, then we'll see exactly this game fly through this total. They played to the under last week with Arizona. That defense has been legit for San Fran. I just think this is a different type of, contrast, and we'll see how it plays out. I did take it to 52.5 today.
Okay.
So, like I said, one of us is going to be right.
Right. It is certainly fair to say that the Jags defense has certainly played well, but we have to view that in the context of who they've played. Right. Against Joe Burrow, or a portion of the game versus Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and then Browning comes in. Again, it's good to put up good performance against the Panthers. It's good to put up good performance against the Texans, but is that really testing you?
Right.
Very fair point from you when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and again, it has to come down to Trevor Lawrence. He has to contribute, and the playmakers have to get this total. I need Thomas to have a big day. I need, some of the players on the 49ers, to your point, to step up and really make some dividends. If not, if it's going to be this blue-collar game where 8 minutes in we have no score, it's probably a dead under and you'll win.
All right, so that does it for Pro Football today. Again, filling in for Kevin Walsh. It was great to be here alongside Joe Lisi. Thanks to Sam and AJ in the back doing the producing and the directing. Hopefully, I think when it's all said and done, no wheel plays were given out.
No.
And I think we'd all agree with that, the most unbiased man in sports history will be back next week. We'll be back tomorrow. When it's
I believe tomorrow.
Tomorrow when it's all
see.
said and done, giving you, hopefully, no more wheel plays. All right, so that does it. We have a full day of content right here on SportsGrid. In-game lives coming up throughout the day. You'll see me later tonight. Pre-game, Sunday Night Football with Brady Cannon. Good luck to you guys today.